first ever episode of the Jean-Claude and Janine Rumble show here, live and interactive, and hopefully uncensored on Rumble. Of course, you can find, as always, Janine here at tarotbyjanine.com and also on the Beyond Mystic Academy. Janine, welcome to Rumble. How are you?
We're ready to rumble, Jean-Claude.
Yes, ma'am.
It's awesome.
I'm excited to have you guys on. Let me check the live stream to make sure this is indeed working. Not used to working with Rumble myself here, and we are still using StreamYard as our main broadcast station. I see some people in the live chat. I think it's working. Give me a 5x5, guys, if you can hear us live here. Just want to make sure. Oh, yes, it is. Okay, so let me just mute. There you go. Let me mute that window there. Okay, so folks, yes, I'm going to take your questions and your comments as we go. But because we're streaming from StreamYard into Rumble, I still don't have the connectivity to bring your comments up on the screen here in this application. So sorry about that, but I will, of course, read out your comments as we go live. And also, we'll take some questions here today on this first Rumble show. First of all, Janine, welcome back to the big public show. We're excited, you and I, to do this again. I wanted to take this opportunity for myself here to first say thank you to all of you who have supported us on pay-per-view after Janine was deleted from YouTube. It changed the world for us. It made it possible for us to kind of dust ourselves up and get back up again, as they say, because, of course, I got a notice and a strike and video removals. Apparently, I personally am not allowed to have Janine back on YouTube. So that was their rules, even though they're not applying them ubiquitously across the board. But that being said, a big thank you to all our supporters. You guys made a difference. And Janine, how about for you? How has the life been treating you there and the community been treating you there at tarotbyjanine.com?
Yeah, it's like going to a friend group every morning, getting on with some friends. So the community page just makes it a huge difference. Also, I get a whole lot of intel there where people are dropping all kinds of really interesting stories, things you would never, I'm like, a lot of these people wouldn't maybe email me some of that, but they're sharing in the community. So it's quite fascinating, actually.
Wow, very cool. And guys, you can check that out, of course, at tarotbyjanine.com. Janine, there, you're posting weekly videos on the news, you're doing your decodes, and you're also doing the Zodiac spreads also for the audience members. So guys, check it out here, what's included in all of this amazing content. It's $4.99 a month, and of course you can cancel at any time. So please do go and support Janine there at tarotbyjanine.com. Janine, where do you want to start? There's a lot of weird things. You and I are going to get into the groove here of continuing to do the 2 pay-per-view lives per week, and now we're adding this one here as a test to also broaden the reach here for the public at large. So we're going to tweak, I guess, the formula a little bit for these live shows. How do you want to start this one here so that it makes sense for the audience members who perhaps weren't following on pay-per-view? Let's do maybe, let's take a pulse maybe on some of the different news stories that we have been covering to see perhaps how the timelines might have changed. Where do you want to start with that?
Well, I think an important one to start would be, where are we sitting with the financial crash? Because it seems like it was all going, and then now it's just like sitting.
Okay, very good.
A lot of things happened on the background, but when do we see it literally for everybody? Crumble, but yeah.
Very good. We talked about this earlier last week. Credit Suisse was having issues similar to what was happening in the markets in 2008. We're expecting these huge credit default swaps to maybe cascade around the planet. We've heard this timeline of events that was posted last week on Godlike Productions. We went through that, but it seems to be right now we're kind of in a lull period, although there is this alignment for this full moon in Aries here this Sunday that could create that panic and that perfect alignment, seeing as it's almost the exact same alignment as it was the last time in 1929. So these are the energies that we're dealing with now. So Janine, let's look at that and see if perhaps we're in this operational window here between the 5th of October, which was yesterday, to Sunday, October 9th, the full moon, in terms of creating this spark or this panic that could spook the herd here into perpetuating this market devaluation that everybody's talking about.
Wow, I got all these military cards. Very interesting. This is the first card I pulled. And if you didn't talk about it as a military card, it could be that there's a lot of action. Notice how this guy's on his horse and he's moving and he's very direct. So wands are direct action. Okay, lots of action in here, usually integral if he's well aspected, and he is well aspected. This guy's next to him. Another one of both these come up regularly as military type cards, and I usually get them as good military unless they're badly aspected. Okay, so that's interesting. So we've got both military cards. Maybe I'm talking about good and bad military because this second, that King of Swords was badly aspected with this card, which is a 10 of Wands. So I feel like there's a bunch of fighting in the background that we might not know about with the basically the Khazarian Mafia. I guess I could say that here. I'm on Rumble, right? So yeah, hard to say, right? So the Khazarian Mafia is fighting back here to hold up the action that was already started with the crumbling of the Fed, or the gangster bankers, as I like to call them. So I feel like with this card here and the 10, I don't think they're going to be able to stop it. It's like too late, because 10s are too late. You're going down. And the outcome's really interesting. This is an independent financial system. So instead of it completely going into mayhem, that would be the Tower card, the Devil card, maybe the Judgment card. We've got this card. So we go into a system here because of what's happening. We go into a system that's more independent. So it's independent of governments and or more sovereign for regular folks. So that's really interesting. I feel like it might be there's some kind of a unique situation that's going to create a different outcome than the travesty that it first looked like it could be.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. The military stuff is interesting also because just the other night we were getting video reports. People were sending us that perhaps there were some military troops heading into Washington, D.C. Let's pull on that too. Is that still the intention? I know we talked about this last night. We pulled on it last night. You said yesterday we had the what was the one? The juggler, the two. Well, how do you call that?
Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles.
Right. So let's pull again and see on that if we're closer now to that military engagement in Washington, D.C., or is this still in the air and perhaps in preparation? While you do that, Janine, I'm going to try to do something here, seeing as we don't have, like I say, the live chat. Let me see if I can open up this other window to share with the audience members. Okay, so you guys can see that here. So a big thank you to Deb for the $17 rant. I love you guys. You can actually rant here and give us a little tip to replace the PayPal tip jar. He's talking about deadly mushrooms. Okay, I'll see if we can get back to that a little bit later on. And Anne, thank you so much again for the $5. Also, can you please look at the chemtrails? Okay, we'll see if we can get into that a little bit later into the show. So this at least is a way that I kind of can show you the comments. It's not the best, but it kind of works for now. A lot of people are saying, hey, thank you for being on. Happy to see you guys together. Brickyard, thank you very much. So happy to see you, says Shiba. Okay, so that seems to work. Janine, back to you here on whether or not same card again.
It's somewhere where they can bring all the goods. So I feel like you're right. That's a gateway card. So they're just trying to get it just somewhere to a level. And so that's a ploy to get it to a level. Yeah, then it all can come tumbling down.
Wow.
The world. So that would be exposing everything.
Right. Bright Can News says, yeah, 10% goes to the big guy. Yeah, I remember that. And the big guy, of course, is the license plate of Mr. Biden Sr., of course, if you guys remember that. Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. In the news, let me see if I can scan another news article for you guys here. There's another thing you and I wanted to talk about was this idea of the silver manipulation ending with the last Queen Monarch departing the stage. Now, Big Swear had done a video on this. A couple of other analysts had looked at this. But what was interesting, it wasn't all woo-woo at the time. We saw that Putin was also working with other countries here and had made the announcement a week prior to the Queen's death that they would introduce their own version of the LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association, ostensibly to wrestle control of the pricing mechanisms for gold and silver. So a lot of people are asking, okay, how close are we perhaps to this introduction of this competitor here to the LBMA, and whether or not that is going to create this catalyst for change in the price discovery models for gold and silver? A lot of people are interested about that in this chat. Janine.
So they're definitely in communication, conversation. That's a strategy. So that's verbal. Swords are thoughts and words. So they're stacking it out here. There's a lot of changing that goes on. This guy's changing where those swords go. You can see him. He's in action. So in other words, there's conversations going on back and forth. And then this card is shaking hands, the backroom deals, stuff like that. So they're in conversation about it as we speak here with these cards right here and now. And here's what's interesting, right in the middle. So it's all going to very directly affect the money, the whole way that we do money here on the earth plane, because that card's in the middle. So it's going to have a really big effect on how the world interacts financially.
Wow.
Interesting. And it could be the whole world too, because this card's like all inclusive, right?
Right. Wow.
And then here's the outcome. Secret. So secret. So are they going to be revealed? A secret comes out. Okay, the secret of how the cabal has been manipulating it, good news is, comes out. Instead of it stays secret, it comes out. Physically manifesting something with that Ace of Pentacles. So the cabal secrets come out in the process of what they're doing, how they have manipulated it, which a lot of people don't seem to know.
Wow. Fascinating. Okay. Guys, if you guys want to hear more on that, please stay tuned for tonight, this 8 o'clock Eastern, very special broadcast show with Mr. Dick Allgaier. You can find him at cryptoviewing.com. He'll be on the show tonight with Julie, and we're going to plot in together the remote viewing for the month of October that the folks at Crypto Viewing just produced, as well as some of those amazing astrological alignments and perhaps where all of that ties in together. But I wanted to share one of the slides that Dick Allgaier sent to us earlier for the preparation of this show. And there's a lot of things about gold and silver, guys. The whole report there seems to be screaming at us that there are big changes coming up. And if you can see that, yeah, a change is coming here. So we're very close to that. And this was the reading that somebody in our live chat last week said, hey, Dick Allgaier just did a remote viewing, and Big Swear is going to be really, 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 really happy with his silver. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. Now, Janine, another thing that we can talk about also is this idea of the open warfare between the White Hats and the Cabal, the Khazarian Mafia, whatever you want to call them. You and I reported this on the show last week. This was one of Trump's rallies. And of course, the flag looked a lot different from our perspective. There was two things in there to note. One, the stars that were missing, and also that the banners seem to be hinting at gold and silver stripes also. So let's tackle the first part, the missing stripes, and the idea that perhaps we were now in the open stage of this warfare. So for a lot of us watching the show, people who've been making or studying for themselves and not watching the mainstream news, they understand that we've been at war for quite some time, but this was an obfuscated war. This particular rally seems to suggest that this is no longer the case, and that, in other words, we're almost ready to rumble here live for everyone to see. So Jenny, let's take a pulse on that. Go ahead.
Yikes. So what you said, in other words, a big yes. Aces are yeses, especially when you pull them first off. And then there's the strength card, also a show of strength. So there was other things that they were trying to show, not just, well, basically what you said, but that they're in a strength position. So they wouldn't have shown that flag unless they felt really confident that they're literally, they got this. They've got the upper hand here. And maybe even showing a strength, because there's a lot of comms in there or signals. That's what I mean when I say comms. And, right. Lots of people ask, what do you mean by comms? Signals. Okay, there was a lot of signals that there's strength in different various things. So strength in the military that backs Trump, strength in gold and silver, maybe, because some of those stripes were gold and now they had it a faded gold and a faded silver, but it was clearly not a usual flag by any sense of the word. Okay, so here, look at this. Then underneath those two cards, so the tower was underneath strength. So ready to, like this could be like, we're ready for anything, okay, because it's underneath strength. So we'll take it all down if we have to. That's what that looks like to me. We have the strength. We're on top of it. Do whatever. Do your worst, because we've got the upper hand. I'm reading on what he meant by the flag, right? And then this card was underneath the ace. So also ready to step out with other dimensionals or future selves, or some people call them alien force that's also backing what we call the alliance. So maybe the off-world or other dimensional force that backs the white hats and Trump. So there's that's a lot of clout, I think, and they're showing strength and that they're ready to take on anything these guys throw at us. They look like they're ready to fight.
Wow. Okay, interesting times. And let me go back to the Rumble chat here. And I apologize, folks, if it's not as seamless as before, because I have to go through two different windows to get to this live and share with you guys. But we'll eventually get there. Of course, there's growing pains here as we're trying to fight the censorship battles. And Janine and I are going to do the very best to produce the same level of quality content for you guys. Thank you for the rant. The question is, what's happening with the Vatican, please? Well, that's a good question also, because in this idea that the Queen had left the stage, she was the representation of the power structure in London City. Whereas, of course, in the United States, DC would be the power center for the military, London being the money, and of course, the Vatican here being the faith, the soul of all the people and animals here on the planet. So what's happening with the Vatican? As we saw a couple of times here, the Pope is not doing too well. But there's a lot of reports that perhaps some of it has been infiltrated, that perhaps some of the tunnels underneath have also been infiltrated. Let's get into that and see if any of this can be coming up in the mainstream news soon. Because again, in the Web of Data reports, they suggested that as we were having these food crises, energy crises, these were predicted a couple of years ago, that people, because of these crises, would probably storm the Vatican and then find a lot of these secrets, and then these secrets would be revealed to the public. How close are we to all of that, per the questioner's comment there?
Looks like we're close with that ace there. So I think a yes, because as you were talking about storming the Vatican, I pulled that ace. Also, we have the Hanged Man. So things we've been waiting for. He becomes enlightened through looking at things from a different perspective. We're going to really have to look at, well, the whole world will have to be looking at the Vatican from a different perspective, because clearly it isn't representing the soul of humanity. It's literally the opposite, the soulless part of humanity, if there's such a thing, and or the demonic part of humanity. That's what we discovered was really behind the Vatican and all the organization of religions. I believe as soon as they go that top level of organization, it becomes compromised. And it seems like that's happened all over the world, like the top level governments, top level medical authorities, all of those have been, it's been seen that they're compromised, top level education system, all of that. So I feel like it's going to out to the general population and get everybody looking at it from a different perspective. Okay, and interesting, this was in the middle of that. So we've got the Chariot, so that's fast. This guy moves really fast. So when things start coming out, it's going to be like not a drip anymore. It's going to be like an avalanche of information, and it's going to be very hurtful. Here's the outcome. So a lot of people are going to fight it, be very hurt by it, who swear by it, okay, like people that love the Pope or the idea of the Vatican, and people that go visit there, like they bring their whole families, they kiss the rings of the cardinals, like ew, right?
Mhm.
Like to me, it's like unbelievable that that kind of wealth that's sitting there just dripping around is okay with people.
Yeah.
For that to be the head of an organized religion, that's okay somehow. It's absurd
Wow.
when you got entire populations going hungry and cold and or you know what I mean, without water, proper drinking water, and you got that just decadence in your
I,
face. It's the same as the royal family, same thing.
for sure. I want to get into the secrets reveal part and specifically the long heads or the elongated skulls, and perhaps why some of those uniforms have those long, weird, funny hats, as Cliffy calls them. Before I do that, Pala, go. Let me see if I can bring this up here. Sorry again. Pala Gold, I love your questions, JC, and I love Jennings' responses. Perfect duo. Love the dynamic duo, says Lauren. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Let's get into that because in the last show, in terms of this hermit card, maybe off-world influence, you got that perhaps some of them had already intervened. So these are service to humanity ETs here, as you suggested in the last Astro Wu report, that perhaps they had already invaded or infiltrated the United Nations. Now, let's also ask about the Vatican. Now, for the longest time, people have thought that at the Vatican, the nefarious ETs were probably there running the show and also underground. We did a show on this and how it connected to several legislatures around the world. But let's look at the ET situation now at the Vatican itself. Do we have a change of guard there? Is it still the same guard holding? Have they left? Have they evacuated? Let's take a pulse there as well.
That's in the background. So that was behind. In other words, we're leaving this. Yes, they were. The bad guys were in charge. You better believe it. And these three are down below that card. Okay, so this card is moving in a direction with heartfelt, moving in a direction, strategy. So it's a work in progress. I think there's still some people that are cloaked and haven't revealed themselves to be like, I think there's still some iffy in between or gray hats, if you will. Yeah, because this card's sort of an in between. So maybe people working there, maybe people, administrators, people that literally just work on the grounds. But this feels like they're looking into and strategically looking at who's coming from a good heart place and who isn't, because this card can be very tricky. This card's like coming from a heart place. I feel like they're trying to now they're in the where the minions are, and they're sorting out who's who there. And here's what happens in the near future to the Vatican. So it goes back to the people. Also, the wealth and knowledge does too. So it feels like that's still being sorted out. I feel like the highest head of the snake there is already taken out. Now they're working on the smaller fish here, but there's still a few sneaky, they're still discovering some negative energy here but none of this looks like aliens though, so that's interesting.
We might be having some issues, Janine. I hope that, okay, so yeah, so a few people are saying the Rumble show just went dark here for a second. So I'm hoping it's just a glitch and it has nothing to do with perhaps any censorship. But let me see if I can rejig here. So hold your cards, hold your thoughts for a second here, Janine. Hold that for a second, and let me see if I can bring this one back up. So somebody says, yeah, just frozen, freezing a lot. First of all, a big thank you to all those rants up there too. We'll get to that if we can hear later. There's 4,500 people live in the show. Maybe it's freeze because of Rumble overload. No, we've had like 10,000 once in a live show here on Rumble. That shouldn't be it. Guys, give me a 5x5 here. I'm going to try to rejuggle the screen. If we're back live, if you guys can see us, I want to make sure you guys hear everything that Janine has to say here. Hold on. Working fine on Rumble over here, JC, 5x5. Okay, so it looks back. So please finish the last two cards you just had there as well.
Okay, so I was trying to understand if they were like ET or like I'd say more demonic. So some people believe the demonics or ETs, but I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm thinking demonic. So demonic entities taking physical bodies. That's what we
Okay.
were dealing with there, certainly on the surface.
Wow. Okay.
Underneath. Okay, interesting. And then I overviewed the whole thing with, so secretly, it feels like there's a new management, because you did ask about the management. It's
Yeah.
not in the open yet. They're still taking people on tours, probably. They're still assuming the position that the Vatican, everything's just the usual at the Vatican. But meanwhile, all of this has been done in secret. So the White Hats, the Alliance, are in charge secretly, just like I believe in a lot of the governments in the world. That's what's happening, where they're actually pulling the strings and letting these guys show their true colors, letting all the governments really show their, true intent towards humans, which is getting really ugly, to be honest. It's almost unbelievable people haven't stormed their parliaments, for instance, here in Canada or in Australia, New Zealand, the way their governments have been treating them.
Right. And of course, we're not advocating for violence or, storming anything. We want peaceful resolution, and we want people to follow the constitutional rights of Canadians and everywhere around the world. So that's what we're talking about here, just to be clear. Okay. Janine, okay, so we're getting a bunch of 5x5s back in the chat. A few people said that it never went dark for them. So it could be here that it's a distributed server issue where some people in some locations were having issues and not. Again, here, a different platform, and we're rolling with the punches as we go. A big thank you to there was some can I get back to that? How do I get back to that here? Yes, there's a couple of rants there. A big thank you to all of you guys. So one of you lucky people here supporting us here on this Rumble show with these beautiful dollar donations here, as in terms of rants on Rumble, will be getting today the chance to win. Let me see if I can bring this up here. An amazing pyramid that Carla has just created this week. This is a brand new pyramid, and she was sharing it with us here today for the show. Let me see if I can bring it up for you guys here and see what amazing pyramid. So I'm very curious to see what's in this one. Farah is the name of this pyramid for one of you lucky rants today.
Hi, it's Carla here from Ascension Organites. Hope you're all doing well. So today I have Farah for you. So Farah was originally a custom order, but she became very popular on the website. She is made of rose quartz, white milky quartz, kunzite crystals, clear quartz, and moonstone crystals, together with the luminor metals and the flower of life in silver. So Farah is all about self-love, connection to self, connection to deep intuition, connection to higher self, basically a piece to accompany you on your journey. I'll give her a quick turnaround so you can see it.
Wow.
And that's Farah. I hope you guys like her, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Very good. Thank you so much, Carla. Guys, if you want to get one of those in your own possession, you can do so here at ascensionorganites.com. And if you use coupon code Beyond Mystic, sorry, that little thing's in the way there. There you go. Coupon code Beyond Mystic, you'll get an extra 10% off. Everybody's saying, oh my God, that's an amazing pyramid. Let me see if I can switch back to the chat here, because there was another comment. Let me see if we're going to go. Okay. Cherry. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Present. I have to find a better way of switching between, of course, because the stream doesn't integrate the chat here into StreamYard. The light is coming up here today. Is this also signaling that perhaps something bigger is coming along the pipe here? Not just the financial system, not just maybe the turnover, some ET experience coming up here, but are we going to get this big aha moment for the rest of the population of what this whole storyboard was really about to begin with, which had nothing to do with health, but maybe more the changeover to the financial system? Is that what this is signaling here today?
Okay, so before I answer that, I shuffled that in, so I'm ready to go. But I just want to tell a little personal story about that.
Okay.
Aha moments. Okay, so I have a group chat with about 12 family members on it. And I shared a little bit when we thought the finance, like the Fed was going down literally like days away.
Mm-hmm.
I shared, listen, and I still hold true. I mean, it's obviously crumbling. But I said, listen, if you got lots of cash in your accounts, you might want to move it, take it out. Can't remember all the words I said, but just to be careful and keep cash on you. And if things get scary, come and talk to me, basically, and I'll tell you what's going on. And I got fairly good response. people were polite, at least in the chats, my family members. Then I shared the newest and latest Fall of the Cabal. So I think it's number 20. It's past that. I think it's 26, maybe 27, 28.
Okay, I thought this was the last one you sent in the live.
Was it? Okay, if that's the last one I sent you, that must have been it. Anyway, it really lays things out. And I said, listen, you guys, I love you. I'm sharing this because I love you. That's literally what I said. Just watch it.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of them did watch it, which is a miracle. 6 months ago, they would have told me to get lost.
Right.
We watched it, and some of them even reached out and had questions.
Wow.
So I think we're getting closer to people being open to hearing this stuff. Just saying, if you do it politely out of love instead of being pushy, I really think, because I can be known to be very pushy. In the past, I was pushing it on them, and I learned the hard way not to do that. But people are a lot more open in even my group of 12 or 13. So this is interesting that happened. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. We got this laid out. So this is in general for the world. Okay. So right now, there's a lot that's subliminal. So I hope I said that word right.
What?
It's been put out there. And remember, I've been talking about the way, for lack of a better word to call them, the white hats or the SOC has been doing it, is they've been using the governments to out themselves and using different figures and public figures to out themselves. That's what my belief is and what I've been getting in the cards. So it's slowly sinking into people's heads that there's something really wrong and we're not in Kansas anymore, and all those sayings that say something's weird going on here. And even the mainstream media is leaking these really interesting things. So I believe they're doing it like the slow drip, exactly to do this, where in the unconscious, a lot of the people that we call sleepers actually have the information. Okay. And when it comes, when that fourth sword becomes known, in other words, when the public gets a big chunk of information, even on mainstream, okay, it'll be easier for them to digest. So this is what I think's happening here. So I believe, looking at those two cards, it's just one piece of information away. And the thing that'll likely do it for them is the information about the children. So the trafficking and adrenochrome making and abuses of children. I think that one is going to be the big kaboom. And they've been very careful with that. That's a careful card. Their steps have been very careful. But I think they're getting really geared up to divulge some things like that, amongst all these other things. Like this could also be talking about the gold standard or gold-backed financial system, which we already saw a little glimpse of from Russia. So that's just giving you a clue what's going to happen, I think, everywhere.
Right.
So I think when a couple of things, the financial thing's going to really help, because that affects every single person on the earth plane. If the whole system changes, that's going to be a huge eye opener. That people are going to wonder what happened, and then that's when all those videos we can start sharing, and also some real evidence about the dumbs, that what's been going on with infants and children, how are they being abused and trafficked. I feel like those two topics look like they might be what they're gearing up to.
Can you imagine, Janine? It's going to be one hell of a aha moment for friends and families. And I know that for a lot of us who have been doing the research for a number of years, we're a little bit long in the tooth for that. But I want to encourage the audience members to maybe stand in there a little bit longer and maybe have a little bit more compassion than you would otherwise have, because the people around us now are having to swallow this pill, this huge gigantic pill, in a very short amount of time, whereas who've been doing the work for a long time, we've had troubles, we fell down, we were depressed, we were angry, we went through all of these cycles, and some of us, as we say, we're long in the tooth for it, but we still need to have compassion for those who are just now going through that process. Quite a few of you guys are rumbling rants. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to have to find out a way of finding you guys and finding your emails, because we do a draw here, of course, for this pyramid. So a big thank you for that. This questioner here, Jenny, is asking, hey, love you guys. I'm from Florida. Please ask deeper questions about DeSantis.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of touched on that the other night. People were
Yeah.
asking, and your cards led us to believe that there was probably something nefarious there as well. So
Yeah.
let's take a pulse here today on
Yeah.
whether or not the association between and the closeness between Trump and DeSantis could be akin to the original closeness between Trump and Fauci. Is he setting him up to also be discovered by the population at large? And we know this is triggering for a lot of people. And we're just pulling the cards here to see what the hell is going on here, because we live in this big show and there's still, to this day, a lot that we don't know and still way more to be exposed. And we're just trying to scratch at the surface of all that to get a better understanding. Janine, what do the cards
That's him.
Definitely.
And this card here, so gossip and innuendos or stories. And so that leads me to believe that a lot of the things you read about him were created. Okay, so I had somebody write me, well, several people really mad at me when I outed him, because this is outing him. You better believe it. I think he's, the shock is that he's been outed. And I feel like the guy playing him, so somebody's been playing him, or he was puppeted, because I think it happened a while ago that they figured him out, because this was in the past. So he's done things in the past. So he was either convinced to do the things he did that seemed so good and everyone loves him for, and he's a good actor, or they literally got an actor playing it. I don't know which one, or maybe a combination of both. Okay, so even though it's hard, I feel like the truth about him's going to hurt. So the truth and integrity is not going to be easy pill to swallow. I think when you got cards like this and this, there's things in his past. So even if he came around and did good for the White Hats, he might have been under duress to do it, and or it's one of the deals he made to prolong his being in the public, maybe before he faces his tribunal. But things aren't looking pretty there, and I think they're ready to out him with all this things we've been hearing.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to that maybe in a week or two from now. Take another pulse on that. We never know how the situation will evolve. Thank you for this. Much love to you guys. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let me see if I can grab a few other ones here. How does this work? Okay. Thank you for all your shows. They're great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that as well. We have a question here. Love you guys. Thank you for being you. Well, thank you, of course, for being that. 20, Brenda. Glad you guys are back together again. Free, a long time viewer. Well, thank you, Brenda. Appreciate that. I'm looking for some questions, Janine. Enjoying the show. Thank you so much. Thank you. Give me the truth. 1, 2, 3. Yes, the 1, 2, 3 punch truth of this show. Oh, I thought I had a question earlier. No? Oh, maybe it was the DeSantis one. Okay. Oh, yes, that was the same one. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys. And let me see if I can scroll down to the bottom. I know this is a little bit annoying here. I have to get used to it. Okay. Oh, yes. Charlie. King Charlie, you and I were talking about that earlier today. I had a picture on somewhere. You posted this in your Telegram about the kids being warned here that King Charlie could be one heartbeat away from a heart attack. Let's take a pulse on that. Literally speaking, let's take a pulse on whether or not King Charlie is here for long or not. And the Webber data suggested that after the Queen died, there'd be a series of replacement, not just one, and they wouldn't last long. And each of the subsequent ones would last even less long than the first one. So there seems to be indication here that we're going to have many changes in the monarchy. So let's start here with King Charlie and see if he's not long for the world.
I'm thinking, I believe he was taken out a while back, so they might be ready to tell the truth about that, and or at least tell the story that he's out, because this Wheel of Fortune says some really unexpected turn of events and really quick changes, like you said, around the monarchy, where it goes from him to maybe William to like somebody else. And this is interesting. Truths coming out about the monarchy really changes a lot of people's opinion about it. But with that 6 of Swords, it might even end up one of the really younger ones. This is kind of weird, but I know they're too young to be but it could be that it ends up like where all the senior royals that could take over or they go through them, is what I'm saying. And all they got left are the kids. So that's interesting. But truth is going to come out about the royal family. You better believe it. And I feel like with that 8, it's all going to happen in the next 8 months. I think it's like a whole rolling of one, then the other, like you said.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. And to the kids after. I think, if I'm mistaken, and maybe if you guys are in the Rumble chat and you have access to the old Webot data reports for me while we're live, I believe the outcome of all of this transition would lead to basically the death of that system, and we would never get to the kids ruling. It's not going to be that way again. But I don't remember the exact wording. Okay, so that's a yes.
Yeah, okay. That's a yes on that.
Wow. Okay. Let me see if I can get these here. Thank you. Question. I took 6 months off. Is my next step the family business I interviewed with last month? Oh, okay. Let's try that one. Janine, let's take a personal question. Thank you for that. And yeah, somebody says, hey, 5,500 watching live. Okay, thank you. Hey, guys, can you help me out? If you're all watching live here, hit that subscribe button right on top there so you don't miss these next shows. And I also, if this works well, I have another crazy show that I cannot put on YouTube that I've been looking for a home for. And so if this Rumble thing works well here, I might have another series for you guys that's going to be just as explosive as this one. So please do hit that subscribe button here, right here on top of these chats and rants. Thank goodness we have Jean-Claude and Janine. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. I jumped to female ancestors came for me. Oh, wait. I have to come back to this one. Hold on. So, Janine, you're pulling on this one. Sorry. I'm confused. There's a lot going on this slide deck. It's a little hard for me to go. Go ahead.
So she's thinking that what she just recently, or is that a female or a male? Should I be saying a she or a he?
It looks Sherry Fahy, I believe.
Okay, I'll say she then. So see that 9? So they really liked her. This is her, though. So that's interesting. The Queen of Cups. And I wonder if she was interviewing for something that was very emotional, or she's feeling really emotional. She could even be a little bit locked, because this was underneath it, in past disappointments and missing something else, or there's something she thought she should do instead. They certainly like her. And I feel like they might be waiting for, they might give her the opportunity and then wait for her to make a response. So she fulfills what they want. So I feel like it might be, the ball might go back in her court, where it's like, okay, well, do you want to make this your next big thing? It's almost like the universe isn't saying it is or it isn't. It's saying, would you like to? You'll have to bump out of feeling like you lost something or there's something better out there. You'll have to bump out of or get to a place where you're not lamenting what's not available anymore and see them as the possibility they are. The universe is saying they're good and they like you, but you need to turn around and embrace them. So this is an action coming from Sherry. If she wants this to be it and she's ready to get excited again about life and working and etc. But if she doesn't, she could wait and do a little more healing, and she could manifest another opportunity. So that it'll be totally up to her how she wants to go with that.
Okay, very good. The Jaws, thank you so much. Good luck, you guys. Thank you. And there's another question here. Did you guys see that? Yeah, okay. Dawn, I believe. Okay, I dreamt my female ancestors came to me for the quote-unquote transference. Were they speaking of the RV? Janine. Let's put it another way. What do these female ancestors coming to her, what was the message for Dawn? Let's try to get some clarity on that.
Well, none of the cards are pentacles. So I'm going to say it was something more spiritual and magical. We have all wands, and the moon card and 1 cup card, emotional. And so something's being offered. So they offered you something. See how that cup's being offered? While you're busy looking at these other cups, which could be, it could be this, it could be that. And you're thinking it's all these things. It was something else altogether different. And it's a magical opportunity or direction to go with your very unique the very unique personal magic you have. So looking inside yourself, you would be very successful if you followed it. Okay, so when I was in my 20s, I was told by a reader, and I'd never even been to a reading before, that I would be a card reader, and that would be the huge part of my life. And I'd even become really well known at it, stuff like that. And I thought, okay, that person's crazy. I had no idea I had any talent there or even knew about it, or because I just didn't know yet. Something you don't know yet, maybe because you're in the dark about it. But it's a magical, one of your magical powers. And it's very, it's really spiritual. And they are here to invite you there, or get you to look inside for it, or get you to accept it. So that's what that was about, according to what I'm getting here.
Okay, I hope that helps. I'm getting the hand of this Rumble chat here in these windows. Lauren says big hugs. Thank you so much, Lauren. Appreciate that. Okay. And Ida, 1961. Thank you for all your hard work for all of us, for us all. Yes, thank you so much. Janine, I wanted to ask you about this one here. The FBI sued for withholding records of Facebook censorship of Hunter Biden laptop story. You remember it came out last month that the FBI had called Zuckerberg. He admitted to this in one of the hearings, that he was told to kind of, this was Russian disinformation and maybe tweak it out of the of the news stream with the algorithms here. And now, of course, we're going to get to maybe more of what the FBI was doing and why they were doing it. Now, there was somebody out yesterday on Zero Hedge, I forget who it was saying that, the FBI clearly changed the outcome of the election. By their acts, and so it's election manipulation. So let's get into that. A lot of people are asking, well, will we ever trust the FBI again? Is this institution going to be dismantled? Is this really them dying on their own sword here? They went so far that they're going to kill their own organization, and it's going to need a big revamp. Will people ever trust them again if this all comes out the way it seems to be going right now? Janine, what's the fate of the FBI here?
Okay, first I'm going to go back to that saying you said. You said get the hand of. It's get the hang of.
Hang of, yes.
You're getting the hang of something.
Okay. I'm the French guy, remember? And I'm all nervous because my screen doesn't work like it usually does here. I'm doing my best to make this Rumble thing work for you guys.
You got better English than I do, mostly.
Thank you everyone for making me feel okay in the live chat. I know it's not easy doing this live for the first time this way. Impossible for me. What's that? Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And what was the other one? NPC, non-player character come from. Okay, we'll get to that in a second here. So Janine, what's the fate of the FBI here in all of this?
Okay, this is in the past. I think they're already, it's a facade. So the FBI is at this point part of the movie, and I think they've been maybe dismantled. We got a 10 in the background and a facade card. Wow. So they're a facade. There's going to be a new sort of, because that's a brand new, like surprising arm of what we might call FBI, or it evolves into something totally different. Okay, so that's interesting. And this is a good military card. So it might somehow align with or join with the military somehow. Okay, and in the middle, we have, so these two cards were one above and one below. So I feel like the reason it was shut down is because it was a working arm of the cabal and deep state, or lots of words we could use. The SOC. Yeah, that's what Cliff High says. Yeah, so that tells us why that is, and I think it'll become clear in some months. But there's a lot of tidying up. So there's some things they were even doing that might not have been so bad even. So I feel like that's why it gets taken over and utilized in a different way. But I think the main bad characters have already been rounded up, identified and rounded up, because I'm sure there were people working there that were actually doing good.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. Okay. Let's get to. We're 53 minutes in, and Janine and I absolutely need to leave at 5. I have some showings at the apartment next door here at 5, and there are people waiting for me. We'll get this question here, and maybe we'll do a last reading for you here in terms of the general energies moving into next week after this one. So this one here: where do NPCs come from? Non-player characters. I've heard it's a high percentage of the people. So the concept is that there's soul organic humans doing things, actually being here, and that there would be also amongst the population more of what you would call the matrix people who are just filling the gaps, mindless, soulless. That's a good question, Janine. Where do these people come from? Do they come from our collective imagination to fill in the gaps? Do they actually come from maybe the matrix of control here in order to kind of fill in the gaps, but also to perpetuate the narrative of the matrix so that the organic people don't get a hint here of what's actually going on? Where do the NPCs come from? Great question.
So there does seem to be a percentage. So when you first said that, my intellect said there isn't any. I don't know what you're talking about, but the cards disagree with me often. And it's saying, yeah, there is a small percentage, and they were strategically placed in the population. So not a big percent, because that's a page. So a little percentage strategically placed in the population. Okay, yeah. And then this card in the past. So they were placed in the background. And they're those people that feel really shut off, I guess. I used to always think they were really young souls because they didn't seem to have an opinion, really.
Mm-hmm.
They just around along with all the rules and narratives, and I'm thinking that might be what I was confusing them with, young souls.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think they were placed. Yeah, these guys were placed in the matrix, like in what we now see as the matrix.
Or the playing board, however you want to call it. I interviewed Gosha from Cosmic Agencies quite a few times on my YouTube channel. And I believe on the second YouTube channel that was deleted, we did get into the stories of NPCs. And the percentage was a lot higher than I thought, too. I had the first reaction as he was like, well, okay, maybe, or they're young souls, or there's kind of like they just got here, type of thing. But no, there was a bigger story to that. So hopefully I can find that episode. I did ask Gosha to come back, guys. So we'll see if we can get that back on the board for you guys. But in the meantime, if you go and check her Cosmic Agency website and use the search button, you might actually find the one that I did with her a year or two ago. She might have a copy on that. And we did go quite a bit into details. And there was different categories, by the way, of these NPCs. So it was eye-opening for me also. And this information was given to her by the Taygetan Pleiadians. So go check it out. A lot there as well. More to learn for all of us, for sure. Yeah. Okay. A big thank you again to all of you amazing ranting people in the Rumble chat. I love you guys. I'll find a way to figure out who the winner is of this pyramid and get back to you. We might have to make an announcement based on the nicknames in the next show. I'm not sure yet how we're going to figure out, but don't worry. We'll get a cool pyramid to one of you lucky winners today. Somebody says, très drôle, JC. Okay. Janine, energies in terms of from here to our next show on Monday night on the next pay-per-view. Let's see what the audience members.
Not Monday, because that's Thanksgiving for Canadians.
Yes, you're right. We're taking Monday off for Thanksgiving to spend with our family. So next Wednesday night is the next show. Yes, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Guys, while Janine is hold on a second. While Janine is pulling cards on here, I wanted to make sure to remind you guys here that the level 2 of the tarot courses by Janine are now available on beyondmystic.academy. We just launched this a couple of days ago. And so for all of you guys who were emailing us, who had taken level 1 already and who were hungry for level 2, it is available now. So that's beyondmystic.academy. And if you scroll the page there as well, you'll see the tarot numerology workshop, which is absolutely cool. And we're going to do this numerology workshop on Mr. Dick Allgaier tonight on the special show with Julie. So that's going to be fascinating. So please join us for that as well. So that's beyondmystic.academy. Janine, back to you. Energies from here to next Wednesday.
Right off the bat, we got the tower. So that's interesting. The tower. But the interesting thing, this is us. We're the tower. So we're going to have a revelation, because this tower can happen internally if it's like if it was in the middle, in the 3 cards that go across. That's in the atmosphere. So that could be something like world shutdown, dramatic, weather event, something like that. But it's coming as ourselves. So that means we're going to have a shocking revelation that's very disappointing about someone, or a deep, dark secret about someone or an organization. So something's going to die from its original, like how we saw it, to become really obviously, something's going to reveal its, I want to say the word stank. So sorry. That sounds really crude, but that's the word that came in my head. Okay. So something really yucky is going to be revealed is what I'm thinking. It could be disappointing. Not that we haven't already had a lot of those, so we're sort of ready for it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And a lot of people are going to see it for what it is, like, so not just the truthers. Mm-hmm. So this is gonna spill over. So it looks like there's some interesting things coming here.
Wow, really cool. Okay, guys, and let me bring this up. Somebody just posted the video of my last interview with Annika. This is not the right one. So I know you're trying to do and help the people in the Rumble chat here, but this is not the right. Well, it's not the one on the non-player characters. It is one of those videos, but it's not the one you guys are looking for. Jenny says, "I love this new time, 4 p.m." Yes, and thank you, Jenny. I appreciate that too, because we're trying to reach here also Europe in this live stream, whereas the rest of our shows, Jenny and I are usually at 8 o'clock Eastern. And so we're giving this time slot here a try so that we can capture as many North American viewers as well as European viewers. So again, guys, if you like this show, please Rumble, like, I'm not sure what the terminology is on Rumble, but please for sure subscribe, hit those numbers up here and show us that we're on the right track with this particular platform and that you like the content we're producing. And don't forget to leave a comment below also after the show. Let us know how we did. Let us know what you want us to look at for the next shows. We're going to spend some time here in this community understanding what your needs are and trying to produce the best content for you guys here moving forward. So a big thank you to you guys watching us today on this first Jean-Claude and Janine Rumble show. We're excited about that. Of course, you can find us next week on the pay-per-view on Wednesday. You can also find Janine at tarotbyjanine.com, where she produces mostly daily content there, not just her videos, but communicating with her community as well. And you can find me also on Beyond Mystic. It's not on this deck, but anyways, you can find me on YouTube also for that show tonight with Mr. Dick Allgaier. You guys are absolutely going to love that show. Wow, I think that's it, Jaden.